Welcome to Type C Tech Reviews. Today we're going to be doing a review of the Odyssey G3. Now, there are two monitors set up on the desk, and that's because a first for the channel, I do not recommend the Odyssey G3. In this video, I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to go through my testing of this specific monitor, which is both the 27 and the 24-inch version that we're going to be talking about. And I'm going to tell you through all my testing why I don't recommend it and two other monitors that I do recommend in the same price range. Let's get to it. So jumping right into it. If you want to check this monitor out, or if you want to check out the other one that I recommend, or the other one that I recommend instead of the Odyssey G3, there are Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. But let's jump into it. Okay, so the first thing is size. You can get this monitor, the Odyssey G3, in either a 24-inch screen size, which is the size of this monitor right here, not the Odyssey G3, or you can get it in this size, which is the 27-inch version. Now, both of those are 1080p. So a 1920 by 1080p resolution, giving you a PPI, or pixels per inch, how crisp and clear the image is actually gonna be. So if we come in close here, how clear is all of this detail going to be? Now obviously, because the 27-inch and the 24-inch are different screen sizes with the same resolution, this 27-inch gets a PPI of about 81, and the 24-inch monitor gets a PPI of 92. Now that is a difference, and this also has a PPI of about 92. Now, if you're expecting small text to be crispy, it's not going to be that crispy. You will see some pixelation, but the flip side of that is it's really inexpensive to make and buy a monitor that is 1080p at this point, and your rig can push higher frame rate, so that is a good thing with it. And as far as panel types, this monitor is a VA panel, or vertical alignment, and the trade-offs is you're gonna have worse viewing angles compared to an IPS, which is what this one is, or an in-plane switching. VA panels are typically cheaper than IPS, although that is changing with time. Okay, so those are the basics, but let's run through some of the specs, some of the things that I tested with this specific monitor. Number one, it hits 144 Hertz, it has FreeSync Premium, and there was no screen tearing at all during the extensive gameplay that I did with it. Now, as far as brightness, this thing is rated at 250 nits, and during my testing, this hit between, well actually, let's just show you, it usually hit almost perfectly its rating. And you can see right here, 260 nits, which is pretty much what the rating is at 250 nits. Now, let's introduce the next panel, which I am recommending the most to not buy the Samsung Odyssey G3 and to buy this one, which is the LG 24GN650. This is also in that same price range. Now, this one, on the other hand, hits a whopping 400, it'll get all the way up to 440 nits. You can see right there, 442 nits. That, in the same price range, and the prices always fluctuate, but really in the same price range, that is hitting a massive brightness compared to the Samsung Odyssey G3. The G3 has a brightness that, we'll bring this up again, is substantially different, especially in game. In bright light, this thing is very hard to see. If you have a bright room, like we're in right now, and a window right back here, you can see like that. In this environment, this was not very enjoyable to game in. When I did game on this, I turned off all of the lights and I shut the blinds on the windows. That is absolutely fine, and in a dark room, this is bright enough. However, this doesn't compromise on that. You don't see reflections with it, and it's overall, as you can see, I'm gonna just take the camera really quick, you can see it is just a more beautiful image overall. You can even see the light reflecting on this one right now. If we move to the side, still the same story. Okay, but now let's talk about colors. Now, the difference between these two is LG calibrates almost all of their displays from the factory. So this one is color calibrated, and it is substantially more accurate out of the box. This one goes all over the place depending on your unit because it's not calibrated from the factory. And I do want to note, none of these things that I'm saying that are cons are the reason that I'm not recommending this. We're going to get to that. But the biggest difference for colors is not actually the accuracy or the color gamut, because these are just gaming, okay? You're just gonna be focusing on how pretty they are, but it's the accuracy with white tones. Now, this may not come through on video, however, the LG has a very good white tone. If you actually look at this, and again, it's very hard on video, this one is a very warm hue. So you might say, okay, change the color temperature on this. Well, this is another one of the issues. The menu system is not very expensive, and this has either warm or cool. Cool makes it too blue, warm makes it too orange. So to do this, you could go in there and try to mess around with the settings, but realistically, you're gonna need a color calibration tool. And the white tones are really the thing that's gonna bother you if you're not a video creator, if you don't need something that's color accurate, which neither of these monitors are really gonna do that for you. The white tones are what's really going to affect your overall enjoyment when you're thinking about colors. So that's kind of a negative there, as well as the fact that this can wildly vary between units. So if you got two of these and put them together, you're gonna have to color calibrate that for sure. All right, but moving on to contrast ratio. Now, I don't know if you can actually see this in video. I'm gonna grab the camera again. So if we compare these two side by side, VA panel, IPS panel, this one is a blue, whereas this one is a deep black. It looks very black, and in a dark room, it gets incredibly dark. And that is the biggest pro of having a VA panel over an IPS. So this wins 100 out of 100 times. This is a much deeper black for night scenes, dark scenes. This thing, as far as just the image itself, is better than the LG 24GN650. However, that's not telling the full story, and let's talk about that. But before we do, backlight bleed, neither of these had any problems at all, so that is a good thing. So here is where things take a turn for the worst. Input lag, response time, and ghosting. Now, first of all, I'm gonna go over input lag. This is one of the fastest 24-inch 1080p monitors in the world with input lag. It is incredibly fast and it is fantastic. This one, not quite as fast as this one, but still damn good, okay? So there are absolutely no problems with input lag. If you want a game, absolutely no problems. So when actually in game, the problem is the response time and the ghosting. On this one, the response time is not there. The G3 does not have great response time, but the real thing is how does it equate to ghosting? And you may not be able to see this on video, but this one is basically crystal clear, like incredibly high-end monitors. This one is, well, it's so bad that I literally did not enjoy gaming on it, which is almost unheard of. I almost always enjoy gaming on a panel. Even if it has problems, it's still fun to game. This one was not because of the amount of smearing. It was unbearable. Now in game, we can also see in a bright room, this one is substantially darker. I'm seeing a ton of reflections right here. This one, honestly, anything. This is a beautiful picture, even in a very bright room. And if I'm looking between these two, I'm just gonna pick this one. And not even talking about specs, that's a great way to actually test the monitors. When you have two side by side, which one do you wanna gravitate towards? And this is a big deal because this one's an even bigger panel than the 24GN650 by a slight amount, but I still find myself looking at this one just because it's so much more beautiful. It's more accurate. The sky you can see is a more accurate tone than this one. It's brighter and it's crystal clear. And for basically the same price, although maybe even cheaper. This one is actually hard to see right now. It's making it very hard to see. This one is completely fine. But if that isn't scientific enough for you, let's just do a ghosting test. And there we go. There is the ghosting test. Now, if you can't see that, I'm gonna take the camera really quick and I'll show you by panning with it. This one you can see is crystal clear. Now this one is, the LG is incredibly fast. As far as monitors and ghosting go, this is dang near unheard of at this price point. While you get everything else, this is one of the best, if not the best. It is my most recommended 24-inch gaming monitor. This one doesn't just have bad ghosting, it has some of the worst ghosting I've ever seen. Now I have seen more than it before, but I don't know if on a gaming monitor I have. Maybe once. This is incredibly bad. This is so bad that I could never recommend this to anyone. It will not be a good gaming experience for you. And the fact that these two cost almost the same amount, and I think this one's even cheaper right now on Amazon, I just cannot recommend the G3. But you might look at those two together and say, okay, this one's dimmer, and this one's brighter and more pretty, but the black levels on this one are great. And there is absolutely no denying that fact that the black levels are substantially better, if not a totally different world on this one compared to an IPS. And you're absolutely right. So if you do want a VA panel alternate to the G3, that is still affordable, but overall better and something that I recommend, then that would be the Dell S2722DGM. It is a VA panel, it's 27 inches, but it has really amazing ghosting for a VA panel. It's also 1440p, so actually a good resolution, something that has crispy text. And the overall panel itself is substantially better than this one across the board. Brightness, colors, everything is better on that one. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive, although I think right now it's in that sub $300 price point, which is very good. This one's sitting at 250 bucks. So if you can snag that Dell for 270, 280, it would be a worthy upgrade. But if you want to spend something like under 250, this one retails for 250, but a lot of times you can find it for maybe 225. Overall, recommend this one. But we're not done yet. Let's talk about the menu system. On the LG, this is the best menu system in the game. It uses one joystick under here. You can go through everything that you need to get to. Is incredibly fast. It's incredibly easy to find. It's pleasing to the eye. They have a ton of different modes, everything like that. This, hands down, is the best menu system that I have ever used, and it is the absolute best menu system of any monitor ever. This one, on the other hand, takes the place from the Anosin 40C1R, which I actually love that monitor, but it had the worst menu system that I had ever encountered. This one is worse. This one is the absolute worst menu system I have ever used. Now, first of all, the menu system is a bunch of buttons on this back side. Now, you can see if you have a dual monitor setup, you can't even reach them. Now, it does have swivel, so we can kind of swivel this back. But get a look at this menu system, come over this way. We're gonna kind of go through the menu system. It is so bad. It uses these buttons that I still have not gotten used to after using them for a long time. You can see display settings. If we go in there, it's incredibly basic. There's not a whole lot of stuff that you can actually customize. It is such an awful menu system. So if you want to change a bunch of stuff, a lot of things you just cannot change. Okay, but what about ports? Let's go over the ports. Now coming back here, we have one DisplayPort 1.2, so not a 1.4. We then have an HDMI 1.4 or an HDMI 2.0, which they literally charge you more for. It is an option whether you want the HDMI 1.4 or 2.0. What the heck? And then we have a freaking VGA port under here. A VGA port in a gaming monitor. I can't even comprehend that. And then you have a 3.5mm audio out, and that's it. That's all you get. Now, super weird, but let's compare that to the LG. As you can see back here, we've got a DisplayPort, two HDMIs instead of a freaking VGA port, and then a 3.5mm audio out, and then your power. So replace a VGA with HDMI, which is 2.0, I believe. I'll put it right here if it's not. But yeah, just absolutely insane that they even sell this. And then the last thing to talk about is the stand and build quality of both. This one has a height adjustable stand, which gets incredibly tall. Not super close to the desk, but I don't mind it for my personal setup. And then you have tilt, which feels all nice. This is LG's premium stand. This is what comes on their $800 plus ultra wides that I actually have. This one, on the other hand, is actually, in my opinion, a better monitor stand overall, although I prefer the look of that one. But this one has tilt, it has height adjustability, it has swivel, and it even has, just unplug the power cord right there, but it has full rotation, okay? Take my word for it. Now, on the Samsung, none of the adjustability feels that good, but overall, for the price, it's a good stand. It's just that the panel isn't that great. Okay, so overall, do I recommend the Odyssey G3? And that's an actual legitimate question because most monitors I recommend to someone for some reason. Almost all monitors are made for a specific person. There are some really weird monitors that are for only a few, maybe 1 or 2% of people. And a lot of times I'll review a monitor and then recommend another monitor that I think is better for the price. But I typically always recommend them to a specific person because you never know if a sale is gonna be going on or if it's Black Friday. Not this one. I don't recommend this monitor to anyone, no matter if there is a sale going on, if it's half price. The probably only time I would recommend it is if you found it at a garage sale for a couple bucks, and then it's like, why not? But if this is on sale, 99% of the time, this is going to be on sale. And this is almost always a better choice than this one. And if you do want the VA panel, again, go with the Dell. That is a substantially better monitor than this one by a massive leap. And I do want to say, these are all my personal feelings. I actually bought, well, both of these monitors that are sitting on the desk. I actually spend my own money to do it, and I would never buy this if it wasn't my job to buy monitors and then review them. So please make the right decision. Again, if you want to check out the LG 24GN650, the Dell S2722DGM, or the Odyssey G3, don't buy it, but I'll link it below at Amazon for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. A little bit of a different review. This is just different because this is, I think, one of the first monitors that I've actually reviewed that I do not recommend ever to anyone, no matter what sale. But yeah, this was Type C Tech Reviews. I'll see you guys in the next unboxing. See you later.